Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode of the Fins Bandwagon. I'm your host, Evan Posner, also known as Fins Pos, and with me, as always, my dad, Fins to Win. Hank, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I was just checking out another show before this show.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to mention that you're going to have to tell me everything they said, and we're going to have to plagiarize a little bit, because that's usually what I do. I usually take some of their stuff and twist it a little bit to give us some content on our show. So since I had to miss some of that show, I just got it towards the end. You're going to have to update me on what they had to say.
Hey, fins up, everybody.
Yeah.
Steve, Thirsty, Chris, Diggin.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe like we do for all your shows. We really appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight because, once again, the most positive Dolphins fans in the world predicted a win. It wasn't that unexpected. The team is 8-3. They're about where we thought they'd be. So, Hank, tell us a little bit, because I got to say a little bit on the post-game show, but I want to give you the chance because you were there, what it was like to be at the game, what it was like, because I don't know if you got to see a little bit of the post-game show. But
I got a little bit of a surprise for you for this last game, Evan.
Okay, so go for it. The floor is yours, because that's always where we like to start. Let's get the Hank preview of
Miami was just knocking the snot out of them. Just beating them up like they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And then they pulled out Tua, of course, for obvious reasons. I mean, we don't need them all beat up when we're going to be missing some people on that offensive line. So that was a good call to pull them out. And right after that, I left at halftime.
Why?
Yeah, I had to.
You all right?
I had to go home. It was just too much. It was time to go, and I had to go, and we left, and I felt like it was enough to win the game, and I didn't want to just sit in the sun and bake just to watch Miami play second teamers. I was like, I'm not gonna sit here in this hot burning sun for that.
Was it really hot there on that side of the field?
The second, because I'm on the visitor side, the second half was just burning up. The first half I'm in shade, but the second half I'm in sun. And being we had already knocked the snot out of them, I'm like, I'm not going to stay in.
Did you listen to the game at least, or you didn't listen to the game?
No, I didn't listen to the game. We were traveling. You know, we got to drive 3-4 hours home.
So when you got home, so that actually opens it up. So tell me a little bit about what you thought. So in the first half, you saw that they were running on all cylinders. It wasn't even close. Tua had 276 yards, touchdown. There were turnovers. They only had about 35 yards on offense. Then you left, and I've said that you've been the secret sauce of this team. So let me give you a little recap, and then tell me what your thoughts were. So you left. So now I am Bobby fans. The reason why the Miami Dolphins struggled in the second half is because Henry Carpenter decided to go home. So if we have anyone to blame,
we know the mystery now.
No, we couldn't figure it out in the post-game show. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with the team, and we realized Hank wasn't at the game. Next time, give us some warning, Hank. Okay, so Hank, let me ask you. So in the second half, I'll give you. I'm sure you read it, but I want to get your feelings. So right before the second half, Armstead went out. I'm sure. Were you there when Tua got twisted like a pretzel?
Yes.
Okay. So we were all convinced in this half that we were all nervous there that in the second half it was time to put Skyler in. He decided to come back with Tua.
I left before Skyler came in.
Yeah. No. The second half, Tua came in, and literally in the previous 4 games with Armstead in the lineup, Tua got sacked twice. In 2 series, he got sacked 4 times. Then the defense went to sleep and ran down the field. The team completely changed when Skyler went in, and we're going to talk about that after. So, because the game, when you got home, let me ask you this. When it was 30-0, when you got home and you were going to check the score, what would you expect the score to be?
I thought it was going to be 40-something.
What was your reaction?
And then I come home and it's only still 30. I was like, what the hell happened?
So did you look at the highlights?
What happened?
Did you look at the highlights and what happened, or you didn't look at all?
No, I just said it's a win. I knew it was going to be a win. I just shrugged it off and said, you know what? the game is over. We got some people hurt, and that's all that we got out of that game. We knew it was going to be a win. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be a challenge, and they proved that in the first half. Just imagine if they played both halves with healthy people.
Let's recap it for you because I wanted to talk to you about this. You actually just created so much content for this show. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you for leaving early. So in the second half, let's just talk about it a little bit. Tua came in. Let's talk about the quarterback position a little bit. Tua came in, and he struggled. And the reason why he struggled is because all of a sudden that offensive line didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have their leader. And as you and I have talked about, when you don't have your leaders there, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, Christian Wilkins, Tyreek Hill, your team goes to shit. And what happened is literally they kept throwing Tua in there. And then all of a sudden they finally realized after he was getting killed, and he was going to get killed, because he didn't even have time to react. That wasn't even his fault. Like, everyone just fell apart on the offensive line. And I think they just were very comfortable with what was going on. They put in Skyler. And you have been very high on Skyler over Teddy. They decided with Skyler, and I've said this a few times, and you and I have talked about this in previous games, when Tua wasn't in the lineup, McDaniel, and I was hard on McDaniel during the post-game show because I'm very positive. I'm very hard on McDaniel because I believe he can just do more with what he's with the backups and with the secondary talent. And basically, he put in Skyler and he basically threw the ball. He hardly ran the ball because people were saying, well, he didn't have the old offensive line to run the ball, but he wasn't even trying to kill the clock. Skyler went 1 for 6. Skyler went 1 for 6 with 1 for 5 with 6 yards over a quarter and a half because Houston had the ball for most of the second half. Kyle Allen, who didn't do anything in the first half, threw 15 consecutive passes against our defense. But let me just go back to the quarterback position. What I want to ask you from the quarterback position, why is it, do you think that Mike McDaniel, and Bobby's talked about this, we've all talked about it, is his offense is so focused on Tua that every time Teddy or Skyler has gone in and they've tried to figure things out, they can't do anything. Skyler was missing players by 10 yards. There was no consistency, and they were not killing the clock. They didn't rely on the running game, and even McDaniel said at the end of the game that he screwed up, and he'll never do that to his team again. So let me ask you, why do you think McDaniel from the quarterback position isn't preparing himself for a potential game plan, knowing that Tua does have an injury history, can be out? One bad, like what happened with Armstead, he almost got killed in the second half, in the first part of the second half. Why is it that he does not have a game plan if Tua is not in there? Because if the three,
I have an answer for you, Evan.
Go.
I have an answer for you, buddy. I always have an answer, don't I? Look, it's simple. Tua's the starter. They didn't plan on putting a backup in. They threw Tyler in. He wasn't ready for that game. He wasn't ready to play. That's obvious.
Why not run the ball? Why not run the ball?
Well, you wound up getting none of your tackles hurt. Why would you keep trying to run the ball when you have a hurt tackle?
Kill the clock.
Yeah, well, that wasn't how it was working from the sounds of it, from what you just told me. No. And the second part of that is, if they were really trying to turn it on, they would have put Teddy Bridgewater in there.
No, he was inactive. He was inactive.
Oh, he was. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So,
well,
that's a concern for me. Why is it that if Tua is not available for any half, or they want to bench him, what do you think it is with McDaniel where he's not preparing for the fact that in any situation, because even, I don't know if you know this, on one of the snaps, you didn't know this, but on one of the snaps, he literally just dropped a simple snap from Connor Williams, and it was a fumble. Then Houston got the ball back. There was just, it looked like a shade of the team from last year. It showed his inexperience as a head coach there, not to have depth prepared to play when the starters are not in. So either is it so do you think maybe it's the coach, or do you think it's the talent of the player? What do you think it is? Because I think it's the coach. Other people on this network think it's the depth of the player, and they blame Chris Greer. So what do you think?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest with you. I think you have somebody that got thrown in a game that wasn't prepared for it, which means the coach didn't do what he needed to do in the first place. So you're right. But on the other hand, you know what? You need him to perform too, and he didn't. So if you have that type of offense that can run, and run efficiently, you should be able to be making these points, like you said. And like you said, there should have been more run calls. If that was the case, they didn't run the clock out at all. Obviously, you want to run it more. But like I said, with a hurt tackle, I don't know. Maybe he felt that wasn't advantageous at the point in time. So
let's turn to the running game. Okay, let's talk about the running game a little bit.
Yeah.
What was made very clear to me, and you were there for the first half.
What up, Who Daddy?
What's up, Who Daddy? Diggin, Hammer, everyone appreciate it. So talk about the running game. 3 weeks ago, running game, or 2.5 weeks ago, running game was balling. I'm happy. I said it I mentioned it on your show, actually. I believe I mentioned it in the notes, to sit Mostert. If he's not ready, get him ready for San Francisco. What we learned on Sunday that was clear, Gaskin isn't the answer, any way, shape, or form. But neither is Wilson on his own. And Brett mentioned it on Sunday night as well, which I fully agreed with him on. This team in order for this running game to work, it has to be a 1-2 punch of speed and power. And without Mostert there, what it showed is a weakness in the running game. And only for the running game to work. Are you frozen, Hank, or are you just not moving? Oy. Hank's frozen, isn't he, Bobby? He's smiling too much. I'll just keep going.
He's so positive.
He's lost in the moment. Okay, when he comes back, I'll keep going. I'm convinced, and Bobby, you can even agree with me because I can come back on audio, that this team requires a 1-2 punch of a running game of speed and power. It won't work just with power, which was truly clear, because even when Armstead was in the game, the running game just was not working.
Absolutely, 100%. Unless you have that ground and pound back, I'll fix it until he comes back in. But unless you have that ground and pound back, like some other teams do, you have to rely on running back by committee, and that is what the Dolphins have. And obviously, Gaskin can't be that. Mostert is.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, overall, let's hope Mostert is ready for Sunday, because they're definitely going to need that running game against San Francisco. But we're going to talk later about the San Francisco game. Now we'll talk about the receivers, because I'll save the offensive line for last on the offense. Overall, after recapping what happened on Sunday, the wide receiver core, what it continued to show is Tua does not need to rely on Tyreek and Waddle, because even Waddle had a few key drops during the game. Hill was good, but he just didn't have to be fancier. Let's come back. Okay, Hank, I'm going to retract. Welcome back.
No, don't retract. Keep going. Let's move forward.
Okay, no, but just quickly, I want to talk about this because it was important. Okay. You were at the game. Jeff Wilson, on his own, what I showed was Gaskin was not great, and you saw he wasn't the answer to help with Jeff Wilson. What I was saying, and I hope you agree, is that we realize that the running game on this team requires a thumper and also requires a speed guy. And the fact that Mostert's been, I think, our more consistent back, because he's always been able to run during the game. And what we learned is Wilson can't do it on his own, because even when Armstead was in the game, without having that balanced attack of run, it doesn't work. So I'm happy they sat Mostert, but I think without Mostert, Jeff Wilson's not going to be as successful. So if I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, right now we don't have a running back next year. But right now, if they want to bring one back, they better bring back both, or they better find a combination of the two for this offense, because one does not work without the other. What are your thoughts on the running game?
My thought is, I said all along, we need a number one running back, and we always keep getting number two running backs, and we're going to continue to have this issue until Miami drafts or gets a number one running back.
Okay. So you think in the draft next year, if we have the pass rushers of Chubb, Phillips, and if we can't sign a free agent, go get the best running back you can get? Because most of the running backs go in the second.
Absolutely. Get whoever you can get. Yeah. It's obvious. We need a 1-2 punch.
So if you had a Kenneth Walker, would you be happy if we would have had Kenneth Walker? Would you be happy with him?
Yes.
Okay. Which we could have had him. So I just was mentioning that. Okay, receiver core. One thing I was saying about the receiver core, because I'm going to get to the O-line last, and then actually I have one more position to talk about before the O-line. I noticed there was that what Tua's continued to prove, he doesn't need to look for Waddle. He doesn't need to look for Hill. He can look for Waddle, Hill, Craycraft, Sherfield, and Cedric Wilson. He literally spread the ball around in that first half where you never knew where the ball was going, and everyone. So people talked. Hill's still number one in the league, but the only reason he may not hit to 2000 potentially is the fact that Tua doesn't need to rely on him anymore, which makes him more of the MVP of this team because he's now comfortable not just relying on his security blankets. Because even during that game, he was making bullet throws and his receivers were dropping them. It wasn't his throw, it was the receivers. The receivers were not on the money that game, but Tua spread the ball around, and I think that made a difference. So what I'm happy about is I was very happy with the wide receiver core in this game because all of them contributed. Your thoughts on the wide receiver core?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Tua continues to move that ball around. It was electric. That whole first half was electric. I was having a great time. Trust me.
Yeah.
Even though I don't party and drive, I partied before the game. And let me tell you, I was in a big party mode. I wish I could drink a beer every now and then, but I can't. So
I get it.
You know.
The one, I've come to realize that you know what the Dolphins have realized?
What's that?
That you don't need a tight end to win football games because
you
Kansas
don't.
City, because that our starting $11 million tight end is making $500,000 a catch. It's like literally, I've never seen they don't trust him. He doesn't do anything. For why they didn't trade him at the deadline, and because McDaniel was lying to all of us, and I don't think he meant to lie, but to keep Gesicki on this roster, not to go get a draft pick or an O lineman or a secondary player, how he's sitting in this lineup taking up $11 million of your cap is unbelievable to me. I don't understand.
It's crazy. I mean, if nothing else, use him like a wide receiver. But you know what? They're also devaluing him now too.
Yeah.
They're devaluing his market price right now by doing that to him.
No, he's not going to make a lot of money. He's not going to get what he wants next year.
No.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room of the offense, which is the O-line. The O-line was phenomenal for the last 3 games, but now we realize why they were phenomenal. Because if you don't have a left tackle, which yes, I understand it's not the blind side of Tua, but if you don't have a left tackle, you're screwed. And
that's where Tua runs to, is the left side. I know,
yeah, but not even that. For me, the first mistake that McDaniel made, for me, talking about being a bandwagoner, is the fact that you said it and I said it, and even everyone has said it. Don't fix what ain't broke. Why Austin Jackson was starting that game, and Justin digging in the trenches is going to agree with me wholeheartedly because we talked about it for hours, is the fact that when you're playing right tackle, you're not prepared to play left tackle. You came off the street. Brandon Shell learned how to play right side. Then all of a sudden you want him to play left? Are you crazy? That's not what you do. Austin Jackson should have been preparing to be the backup on the left side for the last 2 weeks. Don't put him on the right side because that was originally his position. It completely messed up the mojo of the team. Jackson got injured because I don't think they would have had as much trouble if Jackson would have sat and would have gone to left tackle in the second half if Armstead got injured. But instead, you left Jackson there. He then gets injured again on his ankle. It's a different part of his ankle, but he still got injured again because the guy's injury prone. And then Shell goes there, and then Little goes there. And literally, they were all discombobulated. They literally said, we are now inconsistent with what we were doing. We were so confident on how our O-line was working. Our left tackle gets injured. Now we're mixing and matching all these different players. So for me, what are your thoughts overall now? How concerning are you about our offensive line without Armstead? Thank God it's only a strain, and he'll be back in hopefully 2-3 weeks. But who would you put at left tackle now? What would be your O-line? What would be your O-line?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I'm wondering what they're going to do, to be honest with you, because he was the communications tree. He was the leader.
Yeah.
He was what we needed, but you have to remember, what does Miami always do?
Sign injured players.
Go get injury-prone players all the time.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You should have planned that this guy's going to be out. What was your plan? And you're right. They didn't plan. They didn't have a backup ready for him. They didn't have a backup ready for Tua. So, yeah, these are mistakes that are being made. But this is a first-year head coach. Yeah. You got to give him a little bit of a break. You know, he's doing a fabulous job. He's 8-3.
Yeah, I know. Give him credit. He's 8-3. For me, if they were anything, put Shell back at right tackle. For me,
what's up, Pooh Daddy?
What's up, everyone? I no one agrees with me just yet, but I would put Shell back at right tackle, leave Hunt at right guard, leave Williams, put And then I would personally, for this game, if you want to put anyone you want there, if you want to leave Robert Jones at left guard and then put Greg Little, but then I'll tell you why I actually would move Robert Jones over, because he has done left tackle before, and even bring in Dieter. Dieter's a found guard. Like, at least Dieter's been sitting on the bench. He's fresh. Get him ready for the next 4 days. Put him at left guard, because I wouldn't move Williams, because I wouldn't start futzing around with guard and guard. But we'll talk about that after.
Come on, give me some meat on the bones here, Evan. I'm just sitting here. Come on, talk to me.
What do you mean? What would you do? No, I asked you. We're going to talk about the defense in a second. For me, the offensive line, I'm going to give you some meat after what they need to do, and Justin's going to love it for afterwards, what they need to do for the next game in order to protect Tua and that offensive line.
Okay.
Let's talk about the defense. The defense didn't have to do much. They finally got some turnovers. So what impressed you most in the first half of the defense? What did you impress you most about them?
Just how they're all working as a unit. I mean, come on. They had, 2 turnovers?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That was gravy. That was gravy that was fed to them. That's what that was. I mean, the defense is starting to come on strong against the quarterbacks now, which I like. So I think that they're able to stop running quarterbacks with adding Chubb to the line. They've changed up quite a few things over the 2-week process where the defense is turning it up. So I love everything about the defense right now. I still worry about the secondary with not having players we're paying, but what can I do about that?
King Short, when you say leave everyone, let me know what you mean, because right now they don't have consistent play. They don't have a left tackle. So who would you put there? Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate it. On the defense, though, the one thing that happened in the second half, because the first half they were lights out, they literally allowed Kyle Allen to get 14 straight passes and move down the field like he was Tom Brady. It was really hard to watch. It was really frustrating. It was actually, I said this on the postgame show, I'm as positive as you get, but it was actually, of all the halves, even the Jets game it was the hardest half for me to watch, because it showed that against even a weak offense, this defense is still too reliant on the offense, and they're still a bend but not break type of defense. They're just they'll play soft coverage, and I think what ends up happening, by the way, I'm going to preach and I'm going to give you a compliment. Your biggest worry wasn't the secondary in the beginning of the year. Your worry was the linebackers. And Landon Roberts could not cover the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who's as big in coverage. I swear, he wouldn't even see him. The guy literally was getting destroyed in coverage. We don't have any linebacker who can either cover a tight end or a wide receiver in coverage, and that concerns me coming up, because they just need to get to the quarterback. That's why they need to rush for and get to that quarterback quick.
Yes.
Because the linebackers in coverage, oh my God, in the second half. Maybe they were just lazy days ago, but I really think they took the pedal off the metal there in the second half, and they thought, we'll just cruise. And it became a little uncomfortable. I wasn't worried about losing.
You look at the outcome, though, Evan. They only had 15 points.
Yes. But you know what's crazy, though? And this is what I want to bring up about the defense. For me, I believe that everyone did their jobs in the end. And in the end, they did what they needed to do to win. But what ends up happening right now is they still left, which you and I are confident. But what it did for me a little bit, because you're supposed to win the games you're supposed to win. And other teams didn't do what they needed to do. And I said that on Sunday.
Absolutely.
But the talking heads of the world and people are still unsure of this team because they didn't make a statement game. So for me, before we talk about the San Francisco game, and we'll talk about special teams in a second, because special teams, I just want to mention one thing.
Well, let's talk about the offense for a second.
What about
I just want to point out that, Miami has been in the 30s steady with their points per game.
Yeah.
And I saw Diggin talking about that earlier. And that is just like, you know what? The Niners are going to have to score at least 30 points against Miami, at least to stay with them.
I'm going to bring an interesting point up, which I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. You're going to be shocked, but I'll talk to you about that.
All right, so bring it up. Let's do it.
First, let me talk about the second. First, let me just mention, I made a prediction, and you were here last week. I told you on the bandwagon that Jason Sanders would be perfect, and he's not going to miss anything, and he's going to look like a completely different player after the bye.
That's right.
Look how good he was. He woke up. He kicked the ball out into the end zone. He kicked the ball far and straight. I think he realizes now that he's got his crap together, and I think he'll be okay. I'm off the Jason Sanders a negative train. I'm back on the bandwagon of Jason Sanders. Jason Sanders, come back on the bus. So let's talk a little bit about the San Francisco game, okay? Because I'm not asking you to give you predictions, but this is a really big test for us. And I was going to bring this up just now. The talking heads are still unsure of us because we've yet to make a statement game. We've yet to play a full 4 quarters. Yeah. That's what happened. I think because for me, Tua, the way things were going there, because Armstead went out, and because it was such a comfortable lead, I don't think they were going to score 40 anymore because there was a different jive. They were very late. They were very laid back. They thought they had it in the bag. So people are still unsure of the Dolphins, even though they still think they're a top 5 team in the league and all that, because of what's about to happen. They're about to go on a very difficult road trip where the first 2 games aren't about the weather, but there's a time zone change, and they're playing difficult teams. And until they win in the cold and all that, they don't have improved anything. But we're not going to talk about those games. Let's play them for next week. But let's talk about San Francisco.
Let's talk about San Fran.
Okay, so San Francisco is number 1 in defense.
Yeah, because they play crappy teams.
Okay. They're number 1 in defense.
With the facts. They've only played 2 or 3 winning teams.
Okay, I understand that. But
let's be realistic.
But they probably have the number 1 pass rusher in the NFL in Nick Bosa.
And they also have the number 1 easiest schedule.
I know that. But Nick Bosa knows how to play defense, and they shut them out. You play the team you have to play, and I'm confident in our Dolphins, but here's my idea. Okay. In order for the Dolphins to win this football game, and Ware's digging in the trenches, I hope he's still there, they're going to have to do a line that he'll appreciate. In order to win this game, they're going to have to do max protection. And what I mean by that is they're going to have to play another lineman. They're going to have to play as if they're playing 6 across the board, whether it's a tight end or another. Because in order for Tua to have time to release that ball, if Greg Little's on that left side or whoever it is, you need to give Tua the time to throw. So there's going to be 1 less guy out there. So they're going to be doubling Waddle. They're going to be doubling Hill. But in order for the Tua to be able to stand upright and make it to next week, this is going to be a very tight game, and it's going to be a similar offense to a little bit of RPO in the sense they're going to have to do quick slants. It's not going to be deep balls all game until he gets comfortable. Because unless there's a miracle with this offensive line this week, because we're all still a little nervous about that offensive line, they're going to have to do everything to protect Tua. Because Tua
friend is elite. No, they're not.
Okay. Everyone thinks they're elite because of their defense. I'm not worried. I'm going to talk about our defense in a second, what we need to do to win. But what are your thoughts now? What do you think, not the keys to victory, but I believe that Mostert and Wilson are going to have to run well. Mostert has to play. If Mostert does not play, the running game is going to have a problem. But those 2 are going to be very motivated to go back to a place that basically said, we don't need you anymore. We have Brandon Ayuk and we have Deebo Samuel, and we're going to get Christian McCaffrey. We don't need you. So it's a make me up. It's a revenge game for them. We have a lot of coaches on the offensive coaching staff, and Embry and Welker and obviously McDaniel, who's going to plan for them. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on having an extra lineman out there for blocking purposes versus having that extra receiver in order to give Tua more than a second to throw the goddamn football? Because against Houston, he didn't have a second to throw the football. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm reading what Violet has to say about them, and she likes a few of their players, and I was reading to that a little bit. Yeah. What I think is Miami's defense will stop their offense is the bottom line for me. They don't
score. They don't score.
We're talking about how we're going to run and all that. I got you. But I believe the way Miami's going to get around that is not so much the running game. I think it's going to be the passing game. I think what they're going to do is have Tua drop back, set, and release. If it's there, take it. If it's not, throw it away. I think that's how that game's going to go, because he's got to get back, set, and throw. And because that's probably how much time he's going to have with Bosa coming around the side.
But would you play an extra lineman? Would you play an extra blocker and 1 less receiver?
I would just use the running back and have the running back help chip him if he gets away.
Okay. Guys, what do you think? Justin, what do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are, Justin, because
I would have
a
running back there every down. I don't care if you're 4th and going for it. Keep a running back there, if nothing else, to chip and assist with him. Because as he comes around that side, if he's doing that low dig, which most of them do to get around the corner, you have a running back come up and smack him in the nose. He's going to fall on the ground, and then you're going to get the pass off. So that's how I feel about it.
Okay. How do you think our defense, because San Francisco, for a team that is, the one thing I'll agree with you on is that San Francisco, the last couple games, they're not scoring a lot of points. So honestly, I think that if the defense holds their ground and does what they need to do, Tua doesn't need to get more than 21 points to win this football game.
Yeah.
I think could be a game where we need to score 21 points and we can win this football game, because I'm not afraid. Honestly, Jimmy G doesn't scare me. Jimmy G does not scare me one bit. He's efficient. Yeah,
exactly.
But he doesn't scare me. This defense, and I think because of Kyle Shanahan, because of the stars of Deebo Samuel and Greg Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, like, they're all names, but they didn't start. They're coming up strong the last couple games, but they've had this consistent lineup for most of the year. They didn't have missing their quarterback, who's 8-0 in games he started and finished. Tua just needs 2.5 seconds to get rid of about 2 seconds to get rid of the football. The offensive line has to give them a chance. That's all he needs to do. Give the offensive line, give Tua a chance to release that football, and let the stars of this team do what they need to do. So,
well, Violet, let's get back to Violet again, because I don't know where all the negativity's come from. We played Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Houston. Okay, we played them, but we also played Baltimore. We played Buffalo. We played Cincinnati. We played
New England.
We played Minnesota.
New England.
We've been playing mostly all winning teams. They have been playing losing teams. There's no way around this. If you like San Fran, hey, root for San Fran. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not a San Fran guy, and I'm telling you, Miami's going to whoop their butts. It's that simple, especially with our defense versus Jimmy Garoppolo or Jimmy Garoppolo.
They lost to the Bears. Let's see. They lost to the Bears. They beat the Seahawks. They lost to the Broncos. They beat the Rams. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Falcons. They lost to the Chiefs.
Beat a bunch of nobodies.
They beat the Rams again. And they beat the Chargers. And they beat the Cardinals. And they beat the Saints. Yeah, we've had a harder schedule. We've had a harder schedule.
Yes.
And we control, and I called the show, we control our own destiny. And if you don't think Mike McDaniel, honestly, I actually think about this now. What happened in the second half is only going to make Mike McDaniel realize, you want to know what? I was too cocky. I was too comfortable. I'm going after one of my mentors, someone I've been with for years. I better school him. He's going to come up with a game plan we don't even expect. And somehow and some way, we know this. You know it. I know it. They're going to win this game. We're 37 minutes into the show. Everyone, we're not done yet. We're going to have some fun. But everyone, thanks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're having a lot of fun on the Fins Bandwagon. I believe after this show, I haven't checked Twitter all day. I think the Beer and Sports Network is coming out. Beer and Sports show is coming after, right, Bobby? Is that correct? Are they coming on tonight?
They are.
They are? Okay. I'll have to
Who's coming on tonight?
There's a show after this where they talk about the Dallas Cowgirls. It's okay. It's all good. So overall, Hank, let's talk about a little bit. So as you're heading into this road trip, are you, on a scale of 1 to 10, are you dissatisfied? Are you okay? Are you excited about the team? What are your thoughts on this team? Because do you believe the Dolphins, as I've said to this show, are you confident that they are ward warriors and that they're going down a winding road now where they're going to face tough? This was the part of the season that they were going to get to where people are going to judge them. And right now, how confident are you that they're going to go away and they're going to come back with what you predicted at the beginning of the year? How comfortable are you after the first 11 games that you've seen? How confident are you?
I'm
without Armstead for these 3 games potentially.
Yeah, I know Armstead will be gone, but like I said, I think they have a solution for the first game. I don't know if they have a solution for Buffalo, and I've been saying that the whole time. Buffalo is the key game. That is going to be the key to the door. Now, if Miami can come back and hopefully get Armstead back before then, I think we'll be fine down the road. But I still see us losing one game before the end of the season. I just don't know which one it's going to be. And it's going to come down to one of these three. It'll either be the Niners, the Bills, or the Chargers. That's that. I don't think they'll lose after that. So.
Okay. That's so good. Okay. For me, I'm confident about that. I'm confident that if McDaniel learns from what happened on Sunday and realizes that he has to be smart and have more of a balanced attack, and even if the running game is not working, still utilize it, because you need to give Tua. Kyle Shanahan knows Mike McDaniel, and you have to give them something to think about, and you need to give it a balanced attack. And when we had our best game with this season in terms of dominating wins, and our closest thing to a complete game,
they haven't done a complete game.
No, but the closest thing to a complete game was the Browns game, where we won by 22 at home.
I agree, but look who we were playing. We were playing the Browns.
Yeah, and the Browns just beat Jacoby Brissett just beat Tom Brady. Okay, so anything can happen. By the way, I want to make you disgusting. Do you know there was a skunk roaming the stands of Cleveland? I am never going to Cleveland ever. After hearing that, I will never step into Cleveland, Ohio ever. Someone brought a pet skunk to the goddamn game. I have no idea.
Hey, who daddy? You out there?
I know.
You out there?
By the way,
daddy?
Where's Dolphin Thirsty and Steve Malloy? Are you guys on mute? Are you guys pulling an Evan from Sunday? Where are you guys? Come on. Oh, there we go. I feel the bandwagon making a U-turn to the happier spot. Of course we're happy. I'm confident. San Francisco is a beautiful city. The cloud, it's very cloudy in San Francisco, but the sun of Miami is going to shine on San Francisco. So they think they have this in the bag because they're on a winning streak. They haven't faced this Tua. They haven't faced Hill. They have not faced a team like us this season, except for Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes wiped the floor with them. If this was in frigid temperatures, we can be a little more even. We're going to warm weather. I'm not that worried. It's not that cold. As long as it's 50, 60 degrees in San Francisco, I'm not that worried. I'm all
Fins
good.
up, Thirsty.
Yeah. Everyone's having a good time. I know everyone's having a good time. But for me, I'm convinced. I'm going to give you my prediction now.
Okay.
The Dolphins will win 24-16.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
They're going to win this football game. And honestly, Jason Sanders will do his thing. I think he'll be confident. I just think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to literally be a digging in the trenches type of game, where it's really going to be won at the line, because for me, I think Chubb and Phillips are hungry. They know also, the defense knows they did not play well in the second half. So that's going to motivate them to play well next week.
Oh, yeah. They're going to come out and just explode.
And trust me, and Tua right now,
Jimmy G's in for a long, long day, Evan.
Yeah, I know. And also Tua knows this. He at the end of the game, he was interviewed. And this is why I have mad respect for Tua. And everyone should have mad respect for Tua. He's been consistent.
Yes.
Since he's been back. But not even that. At the end of the game, he's not happy, because he still believes he has work to do.
Right.
He knows the team hasn't been perfect yet.
No.
And he knows that if he wants to be this franchise quarterback, these 3 games to him, to go to San Francisco, he's going to want to win it for McDaniel. Think about the motivation for him. These 3 games are going to be the 3 most motivating games for Tua they've ever played. You want to know why? He's going to win one for McDaniel, who gave him a shot and believed in him. Then he's going to go face the nemesis that everyone says should have been picked before him, who hasn't won donkey crap. Everyone's giving Justin Herbert credit because he won a football game this past Sunday. He's still under 500, and it wasn't that close of a game. Only because they went for 2. It was a luck. It wasn't because of him. Give me a goddamn break.
Yeah.
He's not the reason why they're winning football games.
You're going to find out who has the real defense this coming weekend. You're going to see the Miami Dolphins defense light up Jimmy G.
Jimmy G is going to wish that Trey Lance was still in there.
The only thing I'm concerned about is missing your left tackle. No matter what you do, that hurts. That's your main cog in the machine.
But like I said, I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm telling you, the only person on this team that had any form of success last season at left tackle was Robert Jones. Put him there. I'm telling you, put him there. Anyways, let me continue.
Chris, 28 and 21 is her prediction.
Good for him. Perfect. Yeah. And also the last thing is Buffalo. He knows that Buffalo is his nemesis. Cold weather. We know that. But by the way, I'm convinced, and I've already talked to an expert about this.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Tua played so poorly is because Bobby Melendez was in the stands last year. That's why he played poorly. He was booing him from the stands.
Chris. I said her.
I know. He did say her. Of course he said her. Yeah. Anyways, where's you son of a? Where's you son of a? Anyways, for me, I'm
Evan,
convinced. Yeah.
Take us home.
No, it's only 8:44. We have 5 more minutes. Come on.
All right.
We're going to go in 2 minutes. Everyone, we're just having good fun there. But for me, the next 3 games for Tua, if Tua wins 2 of these next 3, if Tua wins these 3 games, I'll put it this way: if Tua wins these next 3 games,
Evan? Did you apologize?
To who?
To Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
There you go.
Say you're sorry.
I'm very sorry.
Now
You're welcome on the bandwagon. Mea culpa. Mea culpa. How about this? I'll make it up. I'm so sorry. That was not on purpose. I apologize. Mea culpa. I'm sorry.
Who, Daddy? I'm gonna see you in about 5 minutes. We'll party.
The only thing I'm gonna say is if Tua wins these next 3 games and they come home 11-3 for Christmas, he's MVP. I don't care what Mahomes does. He is MVP. He is MVP. If they win these next 3 games, he is MVP.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
And he's coach of the year. I'm forgiven. Thank you. You're welcome on the bandwagon anytime. Just DM me. You're welcome on the bandwagon anytime. I'm really very sorry.
If anybody else wants to party with me after this, just hit me up.
Yeah, just go have fun with Hank. I'm the boring guy.
34-17. Ooh, hammer time.
Hammer time is ready. So for overall, for me, I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm not worried. Out west, last time they were out there, I think it was with Brian Flores. They won. They do. I'm not worried with them going out west.
10.
But if I was McDaniel, I hope they leave a day early. I hope they get amalgamated to the weather. I hope they don't leave Saturday and have to adjust to that West Coast time, because that can be an adjustment for them also. But also Dolphins flex to Sunday night for Chargers. Really? Phenomenal.
I love it.
Well, who was already Dolphin Thursday? Who was there? Who was there beforehand? They're playing 2 games. Who was the game there before? Let me know, Let me know, Rob. But overall, this team is going like crazy. I hope they flex the Buffalo game to Sunday night or something, or makes it fun for me. But no, the Dolphins are on prime time.
No. We want it during the day. Warm.
No, the Buffalo game they plan on doing Saturday night. I know. I have this feeling they're going to flex it. I would like it to be during the day, but they're not going to do it.
No, I don't want a night
Sunday
game
during
in
the day would be
Buffalo.
good for me. Sunday during the day, I can get to Buffalo. I'm trying to get to Buffalo. I'm trying to organize something where I can get to Buffalo. But anyways. Overall, guys, I don't know what you guys are thinking. Give me your predictions also. If you're not going to be joining Fins Talk today on Saturday, give us your predictions. But I think honestly, people are worried about San Francisco. They are a quarterback away. If they had Tua, I'd be more confident with San Francisco. They're scoring 13 points with Jimmy G. 13 points with Jimmy G against the New Orleans Saints, who have nothing to play for. They at home. They couldn't muster more than a touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tua just needs to get
offense that has to do something.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do anything.
I know. So, guys, jump on that bandwagon. We're 8-3. We're having a blast. This team is yet to get their engine running. This is a team that is 8-3. That is better than Buffalo. Okay, guys, let me hear this again. We're better than Buffalo. No one's talking about Buffalo being a top 5 team right now.
Yeah, they are.
They had to sneak out. They had to sneak out a win against
somebody's power thing was just on where Buffalo was before Miami.
And the guys from
number 5.
Yeah, that was Herm Edwards.
Also the Jets fan too doing
that. Pathetic.
Stupid power ranking.
No, even power rankings. Give me a break.
According to this guy's board, though, listen, he's got the 49ers at 3. And he's got the Bills at 5 and Miami at 6. Well, after the Miami Dolphins,
that was Herm Edwards.
They're going to drop. And then the Bills will drop one to the Pats. And then where are you going to put Miami? Under the Jets? Jerk.
Okay, I'm the bandwagon. Yes, Steve Malloy. Fins Talk, Real Talk might be By the way, if San Francisco wins, I will eat crow on Real Talks Fin Talks next week. If Miami wins, you have to come eat crow live on the bandwagon next year and say sorry to all the Dolphins fans. I'm telling you.
Steve, you can be wrong on the bandwagon. It's all right to be wrong and
No. It's only they're only wrong. Only half the people are wrong on Fins Talk today. That's okay. That's all good.
He's allowed.
Anyways,
he's allowed
honestly,
to vote for who he wants. But remember, I said this to you right now, Steve. The Miami Dolphins are going to score more points than you've seen in a while. So if they're currently getting 30 points each game and they go against San Fran, who's so great, they should be scoring a lot more than 20-something points. That's all I'm thinking. But, we'll see. We'll see.
No. But look at that. They flexed. They moved the Denver game because, honestly, I had trouble sleeping last night, and I turned on a Denver Broncos game. They are the most Houston's bad. I would love to play Denver. I've never seen a more sorry-ass football team. It is bad. The defensive linemen are screaming at their $250 million quarterback who can't score more than 10 points a game. It's crazy. But, guys, we're 8:50. I want to give our producer a little break before our next show. Hank wants to go have a good time. I'm stuck up here in Canada in the cold weather. Anyways, it's actually
no wonder you're digging on me so much. You're stuck up there in the snow.
I know it, but there's no snow yet. It actually melted. I'd love to be in Miami, but my folks are going to be there soon, and I don't want to be there when they're there. So I'll be down there again soon.
It might make it weird, right?
My warm weather will be in my next experience of warm weather will be with you, Hank, in February in Arizona. That's where we're all going to be.
Hey,
right?
Hey, you wouldn't hear me barking or complaining.
You would
trust me.
guys. Chris, where are you? I don't know where Chris is. But everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Just keep on watching the shows. We have great content happening throughout the week.
Everybody.
We're having a lot of fun. You'll see me trolling all the shows at the bottom. Give me just say hi to me, and then you're going to see Hank on Saturday.
Saturday I'll give you my prediction. I'll let you know exactly how bad this game's going to get for the 49ers.
Thirsty, you invited your mother-in-law, but you didn't invite me? What's going on? I'm part of your family. I'm part of the Dolphins family. Come on. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. And don't forget to always fins up and have fun. And we're going to kick San Francisco's ass because you want to know what? This is the Miami Dolphins season. And even at this, we can only still go up. We're not going down because right now we still have that sense of insecurity because of what's been going on with the injuries, but we're still persevering. This team is a family. We're a family on this network, and I'm convinced that part of having such great content is motivating this team to wins. Because you want to know what?
Ralph,
we're the best fan. We're the best fans in the NFL, and we appreciate everyone for joining. And don't forget to always fins up.
Fins up, everybody. Producer, want to shut us